Decisions, decisions, and more decisions. That's what being a degenerate gambler is all about. Welcome to today's edition of Bury Your Bookie. I'm Jeff DeForest. We did okay with some very reluctant, almost hedging in our own mind before we made these predictions yesterday. I thought the Panthers would come out and look good against the Carolina Hurricanes. They had beaten them 2-1 in the regular season series, but the games were pretty far back. I think they had last met sometime in early January. The rest versus rust decision had to be made. The determination here was go ahead, take a small price in an underdog capacity with the Florida Panthers on the road. They hammered Carolina. And I don't know if that game swayed your opinion about the overall outcome of the series, but certainly was a convincing victory. Bobrovsky was sensational in goal for the Panthers, and they take a 1-0 lead on the road. They've been great on the road all throughout the postseason, just remarkable. And some stats are very much in their favor with Paul Maurice, the French Joe Philbin, as we like to call him here, because at first it seemed like he was devoid of personality, and it turns out he couldn't be any more laced with the kind of personality that would be very endearing and almost Joe Pesci-like in his speech pattern. So, but we didn't know that about the guy. He kind of came out of the closet, so to speak, from that standpoint, and has become a very fiery leader and respected leader of the Florida Panthers. But 6-0 in playoff series when they've won the first game, and also ran his record of 6-0 in Game Sevens when they beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. So good performance by the Panthers last night. Oklahoma City, we were a little bit on the fence. We did go Scotty M in our prediction on that game because the line when we were talking about it earlier in the morning was 7 and a hook. I think it went off 7. And we welcome Scotty M into the show here on this Wednesday edition of the program. Scotty, I borrowed a page from your book yesterday in sort of hedging my opinion about the Oklahoma City game against Minnesota. I thought Oklahoma City was going to win. The points at 7.5. We know they're very capable of blowing teams out, which they've done several times in the postseason already, including the clincher against the Denver Nuggets. But 7 and a hook in an opener when Minnesota has looked fairly sharp in their two postseason series so far. But maybe I'll buy that down. I don't know. There was a time I had no idea how to do that, and you gave us the instructions about that. And I said, all right, maybe I go Scotty M, buy it down to 6. And it turned out the money line was prohibitive at 3-1 against. So it turned out very easily winnable that game as they blew them out in the second half. But looked a little dicey in the first half. How are you, my friend? Good to have you on the program.
I'm doing great, Defo. How about those Panthers, man? They are unbelievable. I'm telling you, they are just turning it up another gear right now. Like you said, playing unbelievable on the road, finding ways to win. Got so many weapons on the team. The goaltending has been dynamite. I mean, yeah, that was a big win for them last night. I wasn't sure about that game, but I like the Panthers to win the series. I predicted that beforehand. I just think that they're finding their way to get their quest to get back to the cup, and they're proving it more and more. I mean, the way they're playing right now, they're going to be a tough out for anybody left. Obviously, that battles them.
Well, and what's interesting about, and this would give them a third straight trip to the Stanley Cup Finals. They lost the first one to Vegas. They were seriously banged up. I think the guy with the most minor of injuries had like a broken back, and all of their key players were
Yeah.
seriously damaged going into that series. Not that all hockey teams don't have guys that are banged up, but geez, that this was incredible. So they lose that. They lost a 3-0 lead against Edmonton last year, had everybody running scared, or as scared as we used to say in Brooklyn back in the day. And they prevail in Game 7 in a wild encounter, and they end up winning the Stanley Cup. And the celebration was, just absolutely absurd. I mean, the cup was in the Atlantic Ocean. It was at the world-renowned Elbow Room. They had bouillabaisse pasta in there from our friend Reno Sorbonne at the Heritage Restaurant. Our man
Right.
Joey Esposito at the Cafe Seville loaded it up with paella. I mean, the cup has never been treated like that. And the celebration was phenomenal. First ever Stanley Cup championship by the franchise. They're on a sort of long list of teams, if they make it here again, to the Stanley Cup final that have been to 3 straight Stanley Cups. It does appear they're going in that direction. But in the 3 seasons now, it's not like they had any kind of easy ride. I mean, look, a lot of people thought Tampa Bay was going to beat them in the opening round. Many people thought it was the Leafs' turn. They hadn't won a championship since Punch Imlach was behind the bench in the 60s. So they thought maybe they were due. It's not like they're cleaning up on weak opposition. I would think. I know the Hurricanes are a respected team, but this may be the softest spot they've been in the 3 rounds of the playoffs so far.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're a very composed team. They could drop a couple of games. You see, it doesn't really get to them, like they did with Toronto. They got blown out those first couple of games. They come home, they compose themselves. Obviously, that third game was brutal. Went into overtime, and they got the win. But it seems like since then, no turning back. I mean, they won those games. Then they win this game very handily. And like you say, the way they play on the road, the way they compose themselves, the coaching. All the key players around them. Now you got Marchand, who's been around the league so long. He was the instigator for that big win in Game 7. Brad Marchand really inspired that team. It looked like in that Game 7, and went off him, off all his energy, and it just seemed like they pulled the team together. Easy win last night. I mean, doesn't seem like anything unrattles the Florida Panthers, which is big for them. A lot of these other teams get unrattled. They get rattled real quickly and they fall apart. But it seems like you said, the Panthers just find ways to put it together and continue their winning success. So I think they're going to repeat this year, Defo. I don't think it's going to really matter who they play at this point. I think they're just so strong and they got so many weapons that it's going to take a really, really big effort by a Western team, whether it's Dallas or it's Edmonton, to beat this team. The way they're zoned in right now and the goaltending, like I say, that's a hot goalie, could take you a long ways in the NHL.
Bobrovsky was brilliant last night. Carolina very well could have been in the lead and maybe assumed control of the game and been able to just fend them off. But Bobrovsky's activity in the first period and a half was just spectacular. And then, of course, they built up the big lead and managed to protect them somewhat the rest of the way. All right, the other series gets underway tonight. Dallas, I keep saying this. I was surprised that the Dallas Stars were favored overall to win the Stanley Cup championship by the odds makers at plus 600, which was one of two teams, including the Panthers, that did not have double-digit odds to win the Stanley Cup. They take on the Edmonton Oilers. Some people are sensing it's going to be a repeat of last year's Stanley Cup Finals with Edmonton on a roll and going against the Florida Panthers again, seeking revenge. What are your thoughts about the Stars in Edmonton both tonight and in the series, Scotty?
Well, I got to be honest with you. You got another great goaltending situation with Dallas. I mean, there's Jake Ottinger. He's the real deal. I mean, this guy is phenomenal. He can carry that team. He has been carrying that team, and they're playing lights out. I mean, Edmonton's playing great too. I think they've won 8 out of their last 9 in the playoffs. After starting out slow, they swept L.A. Kings. They go and beat Vegas in 5, and now they're coming up against Dallas. But Dallas is no joke, and that the vibe in that arena, man, I'll tell you, it's unbelievable what goes on there. The crowd is just totally takes it to a whole different level. I think it's going to be a great series. I think this is going to be a long series. I think Dallas will win this game tonight. I like Dallas in this spot tonight. I think the momentum and just the home vibe in this game tonight, for some reason, I could see Edmonton maybe having a slight letdown coming into this game. I think Dallas is jacked up right now, and I like the goaltending. I like the way Ottinger's been playing. He's just been finding ways. If you watch that game the other night, he made some stops that were just like insane. I mean, off balance, around his back and everything. They just kept the puck out of the net and won that game to move on. So I like Dallas. The series, it's going to be a long one, I think. I think this series is going to go a lot longer than the Florida-Carolina series. I don't think the Panthers series will go more than 5 or 6 games. I think the Panthers are going to control that series. They may even win the next game in Carolina tomorrow night. So I like Dallas tonight. I don't know who's going to win that series, but I think Dallas will prevail tonight, minus the 125 on the money line.
All right. We know that nobody just likes to bet size anymore, or over-unders, or money line, this, that, and the other thing, because there are a zillion prop bets you can make.
Yeah.
How deeply do the Scotty M staffers get into prop bets on hockey, if at all?
Yeah, we've been playing like players to score a goal in the game and stuff like that. Been very fortunate. Last night I actually picked two of them. I had Verhage and I had Bennett. I had three choices actually. I put out Verhage, Bennett, and I think it was Reinhardt. So I think I got two out of the three to score a goal, at least a goal last night. So that worked out as far as that goes. Yeah, a lot of guys like playing like who's going to score or which team's going to score first and all that stuff. I mean, that's not a big thing for me because, obviously I'm dealing with guys that are paying me serious money to have my service. So I'm not really going to hedge it on who do I think is going to score a goal in a game
Yeah.
for bigger players. But yeah, a lot of that stuff right now, player props, it's really, really big, especially with the young kids out there. They seem to get into it. It keeps them more involved in the game. I guess watching it all the way through, which is good for the leagues too, because it keeps the fans in the stands because a lot of the fans probably there are betting on these games somehow, some way, in some capacity. But it's great all the different options that they do offer you out there, and one of them obviously is the player props, which is very, very popular nowadays.
It's funny. Yeah, you see the people still in the stands there. It's a 7-1 hockey game against the home team, and
Could be an
they're
empty
praying that somebody gets an empty net goal because it'll help them cash a 7-way parlay. All right, buckets. Last night, I told you I thought of you because I was trying to make a prediction yesterday here on the show and give the people something that they could latch on to, or maybe just put a line through, as people might be inclined to do with my recommendations. But and I thought OKC probably wins the opener at home. I think they're a better team than Minnesota overall. The depth they have and their ability to
play last night, that's for sure.
and their ability to rattle off these runs and substantial 15, 20-point runs, 20-2, and things like that. And they did it in this game after starting out kind of slowly in the first half. They were down 4 points, and you
Yeah.
think that 7.5 is looking good with Minnesota, but. Sure enough, I mean, by the end of the third quarter, it looked like it was going to be not Oklahoma City, but blowout city once again, and it was. Fourth quarter, a complete catastrophe for those that still had a ray of hope they might cover a point spread in that game. What do you make of that series? Do you see it going far? And then, of course, I know I would imagine. I don't know. You're not a Knick fan per se, are you, Scotty M? Are you a New York Knick guy by
It's
any
not a
chance?
it's not a question whether I'm a fan or not because I'm not really a fan. Being in the industry I'm in of
Yeah.
any because I don't like my heart to make decisions from my mind. But I mean, I enjoy the games, Defo, to be honest with you, and I love this time of the year. I mean, playoff hockey to me is as good as it gets. The NBA playoffs now, it's very interesting. It looked like it was going to be all vanilla with all these big favorites with Boston and Cleveland winning their first series, and everyone thought it was going to be chalk all the way through, and it was just going to be a walk in the park basically for OKC against either Boston or Cleveland. Obviously, we see that's not the case because you got the Knicks playing against the Pacers to see who gets to the NBA Finals. OKC still around. I mean, they deserve to be around. They've been the most consistent team from start to finish, and they're just showing their true colors. I mean, they got a young team. They rally around each other. They really like each other. You could see in all these after game interviews, they're all standing next to each other, the whole
Yeah.
team. When they're interviewing one player, the rest of the team is all around it. So they're a tight group. They don't seem to lose control of themselves. It seems like they find ways when they start unraveling to come back together real quickly. So they're going to be the toughest out. I mean, it looks like OKC. I thought Minnesota could give them a run. I thought last night they would give them a run. I really liked Minnesota, believe it or not, even though the game was a blowout. Minnesota controlled the first half of the game, controlled the first quarter very easily. Were up double digits, making it look like it was going to be a big time win for them the way they started out. But like you said, this OKC team out of nowhere, you could get up, go to the refrigerator, and make a quick sandwich, come back, and all of a sudden they were down 6. Now they're up 16. I mean, within a blink. I mean, that's how quick they turn it on. And a team that can do that is a team that's pretty unstoppable. So they're probably going to end up getting to the finals as expected. And they got, I think they're going to win it all, to be honest. I don't see how anyone, the Knicks or the Pacers, are going to be able to stop this OKC freight train.
Does appear that way, and that would be the one element of chalk that's still involved. The other thing that's in play is the various conspiratorial theories about the NBA. Everybody thought that the draft lottery was rigged as a retribution and a payback for Nico Harrison, just taking the fall for trading Luka Doncic to the Lakers, and all of a sudden they end up with what could be a generational player. I'm not sure he's going to be that in Cooper Flagg. We'll have to see what he does once he gets to the pros, but appears to have all the tools to even improved vastly from what we saw of him as a collegian. And he was barely old enough to be in college and be eligible for the draft. Well, he was old enough to be in college, but I think he was just a few days away from being ineligible for the draft in
Yep.
the NBA by the age standards that they have established now. This Knicks Indiana series perplexing to me. I think I have to see one. The only thing that would shock me would be if Indiana was handled very easily in this first game and then subsequently lost the first two in New York. It wouldn't surprise me if they were down 0-2 going back to Indiana. But if somehow the one thing that would really startle me would be if the Knicks won handily in the first game, especially, and then maybe in both. How do you assess that series? And what do you think? The NBA executives are going to do if the Knicks are not in the finals there and they have an OKC Indiana series, which you would have to think would lead to Blutarski type numbers when it came to the ratings of 0.0.
Yeah, tell me about it. Right there, they're thinking Boston, OKC, and the ratings are going to blow through the windows. Or even Cleveland, maybe an OKC, which would probably be a big time ratings. Now you got the Pacers and the Knicks, but I don't let first games interfere with my thinking because you see how these teams come back. Perfect example: Florida Panthers in hockey going down 0-2 and coming back and win the series. There's some teams it doesn't really matter if they lose the first game or not. They can find ways to come right back into the series. So I'm not going to let the first game where the Knicks blow them out or the Knicks lose or get blown out in a game like this determine that's it. The series is over. Okay, they won the first game, so they're the better team. These are 7-game series at the end of the day. Whether they go 7 or not, that's another story. But I think the Pacers can give the Knicks all they want. I mean, the Pacers have been playing fantastic basketball for the last 2.5 to 3 months. A lot of people overlooked them. Yeah, they started out slow, but they seem to have put it together, and they got some really good players on that team that can put it up. And the Knicks are good; they're a solid club. I mean, they wouldn't get this far if they weren't. They beat Boston, who might have been a little depleted mentally and physically coming into that series. No one really knows. I'm sure it'll come out maybe down the road. I mean, Tatum injury in the game 6. I mean, it was late in the game. They probably weren't going to win the game anyways. So I can't really use Tatum. The Tatum injury is an excuse for that series for Boston. I just think Boston might have been tired. They were overwhelming. They're like 10, 11 to 1 favorite to win that series against the Knicks. But this series could be an interesting series. I think it's going to be a very physical series. These teams can really get at each other. They know each other. Pacers beat them in 7 a long time ago. So, there's going to be a little of that thought process thinking for the Knicks. Hey, we don't want to be embarrassed by these guys again to get back to the NBA Finals. But I think it's going to be a really good series. And the line on this game tonight, I'll tell you, 4.5. I like it. I think the Pacers are going to stay in this first game. They're playing well. They've had some time to rest. If they come off the rest right, they can definitely be physical with the Knicks. And they can definitely stay in this game tonight in Madison Square Garden. I'd buy this line up to plus 5.5. I'd even give myself a little more of an edge. I like it at 4.5, but I'd go up to 5.5 just to lock in a better price. I feel like I'm buying the stock right. So if I can get the stock at 5.5, why not get it at 5.5? If I like it at 4.5.
We kind of lost Scotty M. He was on a roll there. He's going to buy this Knick game up to 5 and a hook. Likes it at 4.5. And there you are. We have you back, I believe, Scotty M. You were saying. Oh, we lost the audio now on Scotty M. So that's unfortunate. See if you can flick that back on, my friend, because we wanted to get your theory on not only the point spread in the series, but the over-under. And then we're thinking you might even dabble into a little Major League Baseball today. So might have to have you sign back in, Scotty M. Roland. That's a tough call, this Knicks-Pacers series. I'm under the auspices, the idea that, and maybe this is wimping out if you're trying to advise people on what's the best idea and a way to go. As we should be getting Scotty M back here in just a second. We'll get his theory about the point spread. He's buying it up to 5 and a hook. But I'm under the impression that I really need to see one. And as I said earlier, the only thing that would really surprise me would be if Indiana got blown out in game number one. The Knicks looked very good and tearing apart the Boston Celtics in that clinching game six that they had. Many people were fearful in New York that the series would somehow end up going to a seventh game, and you would have to go all the way back to the TD Garden and try to close it out. But that didn't happen. Knicks impressively took care of so-called business in that spot and rewarded their backers with a nice payoff. All right, I think we've got you back in fold here, Scotty M. You were saying,
Defo.
look, yeah, okay, you're good now.
Yeah,
Good to go.
like I said, I think the Knicks series is going to be a good, strong series. I think that could go a long distance, and I do like the Pacers. I think I mentioned it plus 5.5 tonight. I feel that I think this game's going to be an interesting game. I think it's a toss up. So I'm going to take the Pacers. I'm going to grab the points, and I think they're going to give the Knicks all they can handle in this opening game tonight.
Any idea about the total in that game?
Well, I'm showing the total of 223.5, which is a pretty high number. So,
High, doesn't it?
yeah, they're thinking they're going to push some points in this game. I don't really like the total in the game because I don't really know, how the speed of this particular game. It looks obviously like it's going to be a high scoring type of event, but I'm going to stick with the Pacers because I feel the Pacers is the right side of this game. I think given the Pacers that many points, I don't think the Knicks are that much better than the Pacers are. I think right now, if I had to look at this series, I'd say it's pretty damn close to even up. So I think anybody can win this game. Win this game. So I'm going to grab the 5.5. I think there's some value there with that one. As far as the total, I just don't have anything enough on that total.
All right. Are you looking at any baseball on today's card?
Yeah, actually, I am. I got a couple of games I do like in baseball today.
All right.
The afternoon, I got one play. I like Cleveland plus the 106, 105 to 106 on the money line against Minnesota. I like Cleveland in this spot. Minnesota was playing real well, obviously, won 13 straight games in a row. Recently dropped one. They've had a couple of rainouts the last couple of days. I like Cleveland in this spot as a.
Yep, lost you again. There you go. I lost your audio again, Scotty. Unfortunately, we lost your audio, my friend, and you were just rolling here on Cleveland, Minnesota. I don't know if you can do whatever maneuver you did before to get it back, but we're not hearing anything that you're saying. So that kind of makes it a little bit prohibitive, except for we'd have to get those lip readers that they have in Major League Baseball to try and figure out what the signs are going to be. The audio is negativo. So, all right, we'll leave it at that, Scotty M, and hope we fare better a little bit next time you're on the program. And as always, info Scotty M, always on Instagram. You can find him there, and all of his information is available to you. And always a pleasure having Scotty M here on the show. So sorry about that, people. We were on a roll there. We didn't get his second baseball game, but good to have Scotty on the program as we had a little intermittent sound and video difficulties and unable to get you his second baseball play for the day. All right, good luck with all of your bets and prop bets. I'm sure people will be sending a note on a variety of things. Scotty M's recommendation on a Knick game was take Indiana and the points, buy it up to 5.5. That doesn't seem like a bad idea. As I said, I mean, the one thing I can envision, although it'll probably happen now, is Indiana go down by 20 points or so. But I can't see them getting blown out in this game. The points look awfully tempting. So I tend to agree with Scotty M that it's worth a shot there. Maybe not with a big wad of cash. I don't think you take out the mortgage payment or empty your bankroll on this one. But because I do believe in this series that we probably have to see one first. If there was ever an example of that, it would be tonight. Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks. And you know the league. I don't know if Scott Foster is going to be officiating this game, because if he is, it's probably with specific instructions to make sure that we don't have a potential Oklahoma City Indiana Pacer matchup in the finals. The ratings haven't been bad for the NBA so far through 2 rounds of the playoffs, but I would imagine that would be a disaster in terms of whatever numbers are going to generate in TV revenue. And we all know what that affects. That impacts the bottom line and what potential sales would be for next year. So I think the executives there in the NBA and all the advertising people probably thinking they would love to see the New York Knicks get a chance at their first championship in 52 years. if they could make it to the final round. All right, thanks so much for joining us here. The underdogs are barking, so that's always a good sign. Go ahead and bet out a little bit on the Pacers with that 4.5 allotment of points, and hopefully you'll find yourself in a winner's circle. For Scotty M, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in to this morning's edition of Bury Your Bookie.